I was wrong about the Surface Book 3, but not the way you think. Hey guys, Thunder E here, and first off, I just want to apologize because I made big mistakes in my Surface Book 3 review, which a lot of you guys pointed out. I want to thank you guys for actually pointing that out. It helps keep me honest, make better videos for you, so I do appreciate that. Not angry, not pissed. I actually like the fact that you guys do that, so I definitely appreciate it. But I made some mistakes on my Surface Book 3 review. Now, my thoughts about the device is still around the same, but these mistakes are quite key. So one of them was, of course, with my game benchmarks for Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I had on screen benchmarks from my Ryzen 3 build. Don't know how that happened. I apologize for that. But you know, that kind of gives you different light and tells you a different story than what you're hearing from me as opposed to what you're seeing on screen. So also had some interesting benchmarks also for Grand Theft Auto 5, which again, a few of you pointed out. And it makes sense for me to just redo this review for you so you get a better idea of how well this device is. So I'm shooting and capturing everything off screen, so which means you're going to see the device, you're going to see the benchmarks, you're going to see those numbers for those games in question. So let's start off with what this device is. I'm talking about the brand new Surface Book 3. It's the latest Surface Book from Microsoft. This is the 15-inch variant that I have, which sports a 4K display, 10 finger touch, multi-touch display, Pixel Sense display, running the new Intel 10th Gen Core i7 processor. It's a quad-core processor. You've also got the NVIDIA 1660 Ti Max-Q, which, as you know, we're going to put through the benches for gaming, which is what you guys care about here watching this video. Now, storage goes from 256 to either 2 terabytes. You do have 2 USB Type A ports, as well as also one USB Type C port. And then you've got the Surface connector, you've got a headphone jack on the top, and you've also got, I believe, an SD card reader. Now, this thing weighs about 4.2 pounds, and when you detach, which of course it can do, the tablet side, it weighs about 1.8. Now, there are a bunch of things you can do with the Surface. It's got a really nice keyboard, probably one of the best keyboards and trackpads, and a great display, especially using it for touch. So you've got great typing experience, backlit keyboard, all that fun stuff. But the main thing is gaming. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I messed up on Tomb Raider with the benchmark. So here are the benchmarks for Shadow of the Tomb Raider here, running on the Surface Book 3. Might I add, I also got some updates on the system itself on Windows, as well as my drivers. I'm stuck using studio drivers. I just have to point that out quite effectively. I tried to switch over to game drivers. It did not switch over. I could not get an update for it. I got an update for my studio drivers. That being said, let's start off with the benchmarks for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where you can see that this thing really does a really good job, and you can see the range and scale of what you're getting with this. And when we go at the end to see the full benchmark numbers, again, this is at 1080p, so we drop the resolution down to that because it makes sense for the GPU that we have here. We get an average of about 71 frames per second, which is higher than even the Ryzen 3 that I showcased. So again, I'm so sorry, guys. But when you're playing this, it plays pretty smooth and well, and you can have a great gaming experience playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider on the Surface Book 3. Now, moving on to Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, the benchmarks for this show a wide range. You can go as low as a 58 frames per second, all the way to about 100 and something, depending on where you are within the game and the landscapes and things like that. When you get into actual gameplay, I was fluctuating between roughly about, say again, 58 to about maybe 80 frames per second, depending, but it ran well, ran smooth, and also much higher than the 30 frames per second I showed the first time. Sorry, again, I apologize, guys. I'm glad that we're doing this again, and I'm glad we're seeing how well this actually performs in that gaming process. Now, we're moving over to Call of Duty Warzone. Now, Warzone is always a funny one. Benchmark numbers are actually quite similar and the same in terms of just gameplay. Fluctuating between about 56 frames per second to about 77. for this, but it plays well, it handles well, and even if you went back to the old footage of the last review, you will see that again you're getting those kind of numbers. And there are other games you can play on this device besides, of course, those key games I mentioned. We definitely tried out Street of Rage, which of course you do not need to use the GTX 1660 Ti to play. You can play it on the tablet itself, and it plays quite well, quite effectively. A very great experience. Also some older games like, of course, Halo Anniversary Edition, that played really well on the system, got a solid 60 frames per second, and that continues to be the case there as well. I think overall, when it comes to gaming and performance, especially seeing this after doing it again, this is almost about a month or so, and also seeing this with better software updates, I would say the experience is much smoother, much better. Now, system still runs loud when you're gaming, which is very typical with most laptops you're going to be gaming, because the fans start churning and things like that. But the gameplay experience there is really solid. Now, there are other things, of course, with the Surface Book 3 that you can do. In terms of battery life, Microsoft is expecting about 17 hours, which you should get, which with either watching content or streaming, not 17 hours in one straight shot, but a good amount of time. My buddy, the Unlocker, basically did a video, and you can check out his video on the Surface Book 3 on that. Now, when it also comes to just pure functionality, you've got a wide array of functionality with this. Taking it in a tablet mode, watching a movie, reading news, or whatever you want to do is great. You also have a pen, which you can buy separately, which I do not like. Plus, you've got probably one of the best webcams on a laptop, which is something a lot of people need right now at this point. The one thing I'll say is though, it's quite a heavy piece of device, and also a little bit obnoxious in terms of design. Now, design has been great over the years, and I wish it had seen better iterations, less of that dip at the corner, also that hinge area in the corner. I said dip, but I would like to see that improved. I'd like to see it feel more flexible, less rigid. Yes, it's great you can detach it. Yes, it's great that locks in quite well, but I want to see just a jump with that design. This is something I'm expecting. So hopefully with the Book 4, which I think that's probably the case, we will see that design change and that design change element. But again, you can also increase your graphics card to the RTX 3000 Quattro, and that gives you more capability, especially if you're into maybe graphic design and things like that on the road. That is where this actually works out quite well. I think the idea of a workstation is quite palatable for this, or somebody who is looking to do more serious working on the road. Now, as a gamer, this will handle your gaming needs quite well, and as we've seen, I think it will cover the bases for you easily. Now, thank you very much, guys, for checking this out. I do again apologize for the fact that I messed up my first video. I didn't give you guys a clear analysis of what this device can do. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what the Surface Book 3 can do, and also what you can actually game on this device quite effectively. So if you have any questions or any comments, let me know. If I make more mistakes, guys, please leave your comments. I do definitely appreciate it. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment.